Hi, and welcome to Reading Matters. I'm so sorry that we don't get to have this class in person, especially because we're missing the chance to read one-on-one with our little buddies. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what to expect from this class going forward. I know you have the syllabus and you have access to Canvas. You don't necessarily need to watch this video if you think it's self-explanatory, but I think it can help to just get a sense of what this class looks like because it's so different from other classes. So if you go to start here, you get the basic course information, our description, syllabus, um, generic things. What is the course structure? This semester, we're going to focus on three things: reading about reading, finding your own joy in reading, reflecting on the importance of reading in Title I schools, and trying to help promote reading in concrete ways. For items 1 and 3, we're going to have group discussions and come up with ways that actually help our partner school, Woodland Acres Elementary. We might create a GoFundMe, we might have a book drive, we might make videos on YouTube about us reading. You guys are going to brainstorm what you want to do to support reading for our reading buddies. We'll talk to teachers if they're not too busy, and they can tell us how we might support them. But once you guys decide how you want to help, you're going to be accountable for doing your own project. For the item number 2, finding joy in your own reading, you're going to make your own supplementary syllabus, what we call a reading curriculum, and you're going to write reflections about your own reading. We'll talk about that more in a moment. So now that you have a sense of the course structure, I'm just going to walk you through the days so you get a sense of the rhythm of the class. On our first day, we have what looks to be a lot of readings, but they're all really short. They're like 1 to 3 page articles. Oh, sorry, I went to week 2 by accident. They're all really short, and we just have an introduction discussion board where I ask you some specific questions about those readings, and we'll get to know each other a little bit that way. The second week, we have 2 more short readings, and then we have a longer reading that was from the Atlantic, The Fall and Rise of Reading, and we're reading the foreword, introduction, and chapter 1 of Read Aside. Your reading curriculum is due that day. That assignment here that's the syllabus that you're going to make for yourself. It's what you're going to read every week between the following week and November 2nd. It should be something you want to read for fun. It needs to be substantial. I'm asking for around 125 pages a week, more if you're going to read YA or something like that. And that might sound like a lot of reading, but remember, this is a senior capstone class, and that's less than 20 pages of reading a day. And finally, it should be something that you really want to read. It should be fun to get to it. So if you find yourself dreading, like, oh no, I have to get the work done for that class, then you probably want to talk to me about revising your reading curriculum. It really should be nourishing and replenishing to read. There's a template here that you could just download and fill in the dates, what you want to read. If you have trouble thinking about what text you want to read, if you have a theme, I've had students before say, I really want to read more Gothic literature, or I really want to learn more about African American literature. I'm happy to talk to you. We can meet in Zoom or just email ideas. But you also might just have something that you've been meaning to read, and you just haven't gotten around to it yet. So that's how you populate your list. There are some resources here too for helping you think of ideas for different books to read. So now that you have your reading curriculum, we go ahead to the last week in August. And you'll see that your first Reader's Chronicle is due that day. We're going to have 5 of these assignments throughout the semester. There are 3 different ways you can do it. You can write an analysis, a review, like a book review, or a reflection. I'm looking for between 1,000 and 2,000 words, and I have a bunch of sample questions here for you. These are not meant to be onerous essays. They're just helping you think through and reflect on the process of reading. While we're reading for fun, we're also thinking about why reading matters. And so spending that time processing and reflecting on what you read in whatever form you choose to write in is one of the ways that we do that work of articulating why reading matters to us personally. Then getting into September, we skip the 7th because that's Labor Day. We have our 3rd discussion board, and I ask you to pick a supplementary book for next month. So September 14th, we're finishing Read Aside. You can see it's a pretty thin book. And I give you a list of a few different books, something like Reader Comes Home. I want you to keep reading about reading, and we're going to keep discussing it, but I want to give you some options because there is just no one perfect book. There are a bunch of different ways we could go, and I think informing each other based on different things that you choose to read can really make for a rich discussion. You don't have to stick with the suggested books that I have there. If you have something else that you want to read, that's fine with me. But I want you to tell me what book you choose to read by September 14th, because I'm hoping that you will have your book in hand from the library or bookshop.org by September 28th. So I want you to have 2 weeks to actually get that book. You can read it on Kindle or audiobook. It doesn't have to be a physical book, but I want you to be able to have it 2 weeks from now. So going forward, you're going to start to notice this pattern. Next, we have our second reading chronicle due. Then we're going to have a discussion board. This is a big discussion board, and it's an unusual one on September 28th. We're going to brainstorm what we're going to do to help Woodland Acres Elementary. Based on what you propose to do here, you're going to get to work. So you might have an individual project where you by yourself are going to upload some YouTube videos of you reading Captain Underpants or something like that, and we're going to share them with students. Or you might want to find a pen pal at Woodland Acres and start writing to them and mailing them books. But after this week, after we brainstorm what we're going to do, from here on out, we're going to start actually doing that work. Then you're going to see your third reading chronicle is due. And then we're going to have a discussion board the following week where you talk about your supplemental reading, the thing that you picked on the 14th, and then you tell us about your outreach to date. What have you actually accomplished since our brainstorming session? And it continues that way throughout the month of October into early November. November 2nd is the day that your last reading chronicle is due. So November 9th is a turning point. On November 9th, we have our book fair. That's really just a fun discussion board where you tell us about your favorite, most exciting book that you read in your reading curriculum. You can post a picture of the book, other visuals, anything that you could do to make us excited about your book is welcome. It should be just a fun discussion board where we get a lot of reading suggestions to each other for winter break. And again, you're going to keep telling us about your outreach. Then we have 2 weeks, November 16th and November 23rd, where you're just working on preparing your final essay. There's no other assignments due this week. I'm happy to meet one-on-one if you want to talk about it. Our final essay is due on the 30th. I'm pulling up the assignment here. The point of this final essay is for you to say from a few different vantage points why reading matters. So just like our class is divided into kind of 3 main things, so is this final paper. The first one is a self-study. So you read through your reading curricula and your reading chronicles and tell me why reading matters to you. What's it like to read for you? It's a reflective, roughly 4 pages. It could be a little shorter, it could be a little longer. I know it says minimum. I'm really more flexible than that. Section 2 is how does reading matter to the specific community that you've been working with? So we brainstormed ways to help Woodland Acres. We've been talking about why it matters to Title I students. That's what Section 2 is about. What did you do? Why did it matter? How do you think it will positively impact reading? Section 3 is sort of looking forward. It's thinking more in terms of policy. It's a white paper. It's not going to be as long as a full white paper. It's probably going to be around 4 pages too. But I want you to think about what policies you would recommend changing based on our readings like Read Aside and Reader Come Home and other research that you've done. If reading matters, how could we teach it better? What could we do to get our kids to keep reading and love reading? What alienated you as a reader when you were younger that you wish didn't happen? Or what made you excited about reading that you want to make sure everybody has? I have examples of white papers up here. Again, you could work on this all semester. We have 2 dedicated weeks to working on it before it's due, but I wanted you to get a sense of what's coming. So I look forward to meeting you all. I'm glad that you're taking the class, and I hope you enjoy it. And let me know if you have any questions about the syllabus. Thanks.